Hi guys! Today we're going to show you how to make 3 savory dishes based off Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. We hope you enjoy.
Oh, how do you like it?
It's delicious and totally authentic. I didn't realize how much I missed Water Tribe Grub.
These delicious seaweed noodles are featured prominently on Legend of Korra.
Since this is based off a ramen recipe, we're going to be baking 1/4 cup or more of baking soda at 225 degrees for 1 hour. Remove from the oven and let it cool. Heat 3/4 cup of water on medium-low heat.
Next, measure out 7 grams of sushi nori, or about 3 large sheets. Tear the nori into smaller pieces and add them into the pot. This is a great way to use up stale nori.
Let it dissolve in the water until it forms a paste-like consistency.
Now pour the seaweed mixture out into a bowl.
Take 2½ teaspoons of the baking soda we made before and pour it into the bowl and mix.
Once that's come together, you can start gradually adding 170 grams of bread flour. Use your spatula at first and then start using your hands to knead the dough. Since the water content might vary depending on how long you cook the seaweed, you can add more water or more flour if necessary.
To make the noodles more green, we sifted 1 tablespoon of matcha powder.
Now just keep kneading the dough until it gets really tough. It shouldn't feel anything like cookie dough or bread dough.
Take your dough, put it in a floured bowl, and let rest for 1 hour.
Now cut your dough into 4 pieces to create 4 servings of noodles.
Take a piece of your dough and flatten it with your hand. Next, take it and crank it through the widest setting in your pasta machine. It may look kinda rough, but trust the process.
Take that flattened dough, give it a tri-fold, and run it through the machine 1 more time. For nice and chewy noodles, repeat the process 1 more time.
Start with the widest setting and crank it through again. If it tears, pinch it back together.
Now just keep gradually cranking the dough down to lower and lower settings to the second lowest one. Form a thin, smooth, and crepe-like dough. Now doesn't that look great? I love how you can see the little bits of seaweed mixed into the dough.
Now it's time to make the noodles. Run your dough through the noodle cutting setting, preferably the skinnier one, and take it out gradually with your hands. Make sure to go slowly. Look how gorgeous they look. They're so long.
Now toss the noodles with a little bit of flour so they don't stick, and then form it into a nice little lump. Let the formed noodles rest for several hours to a day.
Bring 6 1/3 cups of dashi broth to a boil.
Now measure out 12 grams of dried wakame seaweed.
Break the seaweed up into small pieces and place it into the dashi broth. Let the seaweed rehydrate. Next we can add our seasonings.
We're going to add 1 teaspoon of sea salt for that nice oceany flavor, and 1 teaspoon of light soy sauce. Bring a medium pot of water to a boil and drop your noodles in.
Boil around 2 minutes or until cooked all the way through, stirring as you go. Don't cook them for too long or else they're going to lose their bite.
All that's left is to dish up your noodles, garnish with your seaweed, and top off with your dashi broth.
This dish is warm, comforting, and enjoyable on a cold day.
The seaweed flavor is refreshing, and you'll find that this recipe is surprisingly easy to make.
What do you have?
Flaming Fire Flakes. Best in town.
I'll take them.
Flaming fire flakes. Hot. What do you know?
As you can tell, today we are making fire flakes, and they are just as hot as the show. First thing you want to do is take 40 grams of cooked white rice and mash it up with your hands.
Once you've squished out the structure of the rice, you can start gradually adding 120 grams of rice flour.
The next thing you want to do is take 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil and mix in with your hands.
And then start kneading in 1/4 cup of water. Keep kneading to make a soft and moldable dough. You can add more water or more rice flour if needed. It should be able to hold its shape when formed into a little ball.
To add in that fire, we're going to use 2 teaspoons of SHICHIMI TOGARASHI or cayenne pepper if you like.
Once it's kneaded in nice and evenly, you can start forming your little fire flakes.
To make the shape, pinch off a piece of your dough, roll into a little ball, and smush it with your finger.
We like doing it this way because it has a cute rustic look, but if you really want to save time, you could also make some long cylinders of dough and just cut off little pieces.
Once your flakes are formed, go ahead and throw them in the oven for 8 minutes at 375 degrees. Flip the crackers over, turn the tray, then bake for another 8 minutes.
While these crackers are baking, we can get started on our glaze. You're going to need 2 teaspoons of mirin, 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, and 1 teaspoon of hot chili oil. Give that a good whisk so the oil is incorporated nicely. Once the 8 minutes of baking are up, brush the tops of the rice crackers with your spicy glaze.
Put them back in the oven for 2 to 3 minutes or until golden brown.
Now that our lovely fire flakes are done baking, we're going to toss them with some salt while they're still really hot. This will ensure that the salt melts onto the crackers. And they're done. This is a lot of work for a snack that you'll probably devour in a couple of minutes.
These crackers are super spicy, but you won't want to stop eating them.
Oh, my cabbages! My cabbages! My cabbages! My cabbages!
Okay, so I know that this dish actually isn't in the show, but we are doing some digging, and apparently the cabbage merchant does make cabbage soup. And in the Earth Kingdom, they eat bison meat as a delicacy, so we decided to add that in too, in the form of meatballs. We came up with this dish in tribute to the merchant who never got to live in peace with his cabbages.
So we're going to start out by making the bison meatballs. We're going to start out with 2 knobs of peeled ginger. I used a spoon to peel it. Then you're going to mince it really fine. Next, go on ahead and mince 1/4 of an onion. It doesn't really matter what type, we just want that flavor.
Then, take 4 cloves of garlic and finely mince them.
The last thing that you're going to mince is 1 full shallot. Make sure it is cut really fine. Put the ingredients aside in a bowl. Add a teaspoon of grapeseed oil to a pan on medium heat. Add your ingredients and sauté until transparent. If your ingredients look a little dry, add a bit of water to get them off the bottom of the pan.
Now empty the pot out into a bowl. Now add 2 teaspoons of soy sauce, 2 teaspoons of black vinegar, 1 teaspoon of sesame oil, 1 tablespoon of pepper salt, and 1 teaspoon of cornstarch.
Mix ingredients until evenly combined. Season with ground pepper and sea salt. And then grab your ground bison meat, about 1 pound, and put into the bowl. For a nice texture, knead the meat and ingredients with your hands.
To form your meatballs, grab a big pinch of meat, roll it into a nice little ball, and that's all there is to it. Once formed, let your meatballs rest in the fridge for at least 1 hour.
Go ahead and cut half of a common cabbage, and take that half and cut it into noodle-like strips for the best texture in the soup.
Next, you're going to need 4 1/4 cup of dashi broth. We like to make our own, so there's a recipe in the description for that, but you can also use powdered or instant dashi broth.
Measure out 2½ cups of vegetable stock and add to the dashi.
Now it's time to season our broth. You're going to add 1 tablespoon of michu or sake, 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar, and 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. Taste the soup to see if you want to add some salt.
Next, add your half of chopped cabbage to your soup. It may look like a lot, but don't worry, it's going to cook down. Once your soup and cabbage come to a boil, go ahead and add your meatballs. Oh yeah.
Gradually nestle them into the cabbage and push the cabbage down rather than the meatballs to submerge them into the water. This is a good method to keep the meatballs from breaking.
Once you've made enough room for more meatballs, just keep putting them in there. They'll fit. Go ahead and throw a lid on and let it simmer for a few more minutes. This should diffuse the flavors and let everything cook down.
And now your delicious soup is done. This should make about 6 small bowls. Despite its plain appearance, this dish is a perfect fit for Earth Kingdom royalty.
The soup has a beautiful umami flavor, the broth is really light, and the meatballs really pack a punch.
We added some sesame seeds on top for garnish. Trust us, this recipe is really, really tasty. We're probably going to keep making it as one of our regular dishes.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. We hope some of you can give these recipes a try, and if you're feeling like something sweet, please check out our second avatar video where we make some unfried dough and egg custard tarts. So yeah.
We had so much fun coming up with the recipe ideas and making them. Since this is the first video we've made for YouTube, it's lacking some polish, but we're gonna keep trying to improve our content. So please like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, and stay tuned for more content. Bye!